This conference will now be recorded.
There we go.
Awesome. There we go. So, Mary's coming in as soon as we press record. How awesome.
Right.
Yeah, but and somebody, hey, Mary.
Hey,
Hey.
Mary.
All right. So, hi everybody. I don't know who this is waiting right here, but we're just gonna let them wait. I'm Chasta. A lot of you know. Some of you don't. I am Chasta Posey. I am from Greenville, South Carolina, and I am a moderator for the National Sarcoidosis Online Support Group. With that being said, is it anybody's first time here?
That's mine.
Everybody repeat. Deanna, it's your first time.
Mhm.
Well, welcome. Welcome to the
Welcome, welcome.
family.
Welcome.
So if everybody else can go ahead and mute their microphones for me. Um, Deanna, you can stay unmuted and you could just give us a brief synopsis of who you are, how long you've been diagnosed, where you're from, your sarcoidosis story.
Okay. I live in Maryland on the Chesapeake Bay. And it was an accidental find last year. My chiropractor had me get an MRI of my back because of a herniated disc, and they saw spots all on my spine. And then they freaked out because then I went to oncologist and I had them in my lungs and my spleen as well. I just was really persistent. I went to um, infectious disease doctor. I just was all over the place, and they ended up after many tests doing a biopsy of my spine in the biggest spot that there was, and they said it looks like sarcoidosis. It's a granuloma. So I there really isn't anything around here. I'm right on the border of Delaware, so that's normally where I go for any of my health needs. But they sent me to Penn, MD, and it took 7 months to get an appointment, which I had finally got about 2 weeks ago, and didn't really feel warm and fuzzy with the person I went to, and she wanted she said to go back and get my primary doctor to order a brain, what was it, a brain CAT scan, I guess, and something else for my heart. And so when I went back to the oncologist who's still handling it right now because I don't have a place to go, they said that that didn't make sense. Usually the doctor where you go orders everything. So now they have me going to John Hopkins, which actually has a sarcoid unit, and I have an appointment in November, so it was a lot faster. I think his last name's Chen. I think he's the director or something there. So I'm gonna go there next. So my oncologist said hold off on the brain. It might have been an MRI. I can't even remember. I have it all written down, but anyway, I really don't have any symptoms. A couple of years ago, I was really exhausted, but I also was taking Lipitor at the time for cholesterol, and when I went off of that, a lot of the symptoms went away. Um, so I'm just sort of trying to figure it out myself, which I'm sure you guys all have been in that experience when you didn't have somebody to go to. But I just I looked up diet and exercise, and I don't eat meat, and I've been on the forks over knives food plan for 2 years plus fish, and I did that before any of this. So I don't know if that all helps. All my I do an hour a day of cardio, very fast walks, 4 mile walk every day. So I'm thinking that's probably helping me not have those symptoms. Um, basically, that's it.
I want to chime in.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm in Maryland also.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes. And I go to Johns Hopkins.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, I have I moved here a little over a year ago from New Jersey, but I'm kind of from all over. And I'm mostly cardiac, pulmonary, lymph nodes, spleen. But I've been really happy with Johns Hopkins.
Oh, good.
So they have a really nice clinic there, and they seem on top of things. And so I know that Shasta would welcome you. So I'm welcoming you also.
Oh, thank
Um, yeah, and for me, my little story, for some of you already know, I was diagnosed 2014, super healthy before. I have, like I said, mostly cardiac, so a pacemaker, defibrillator. So I'm 100% dependent, but it's great that you don't have any symptoms, and I'm really happy that they found something now, because the sooner you start the treatment, the better. Because I had an incident that happened in 2007, and then it was like, oh, you're fine, you're fine. And so for about 7 years, we had no answer, and the disease, sarcoidosis, just progressed. So the sooner you find out, the better. And I'm more than happy to be a connection for you. In addition, side note, a lot of people know that I work for the Every Life Foundation for Rare Diseases. So if you're ever interested in advocating for rare diseases, sarcoidosis, then, connect with me. So
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary. You're such a sweetheart.
Oh my God, thank you. Oh my, I listened to the podcast that you did, and I'm just like so fangirling you. It's ridiculous. Because you I mean, for, anyone who knows you knows that it's just like she's so peaceful and positive, but like not fluffy. She's gonna tell you directly, and I don't know. I'm just a big. She did a podcast. I recently did one too, and some other people in our community have done this podcast for this guy. And actually, Spencer, have you connected with John yet?
No, I haven't heard back from John yet. So,
He was on
yeah,
vacation last week because I sent him
Yeah, he was
that's
something.
on
probably
vacation.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I think your story would be great. But John is this guy who does this podcast called Sark Fighter. So you might want to listen to a couple episodes of that. You'll get an idea of a lot of the people in the community.
Yeah, and when John and I did my particular podcast, I thought he was just acting weird a little bit because he just stopped like whenever I would talk and he would just stare at me. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, am I supposed to be scared or is this something good? But when the podcast was over, he just came out and he said, for you to be as young as you are and have endured all that you have endured, like that's admirable.
Mm.
And when I say that completely humbled me, because I never looked at myself as somebody who could be admired. I never thought that I could be that person that somebody would be proud of. Because I'm just sitting here like, okay, I'm just battling the illness. I mean, it's not like I'm out here creating Fortune 500 companies and making millions of dollars. And if anything, I've put more money out than I've brought in with sarcoidosis and stuff like that. So I never thought it would be, anything that someone could be proud of. And it wasn't until he said what he said to me that I was like, wow, you may have something going here, Chasta. You might want to stick through it and all that kind of stuff like that. So yeah, he's an amazing guy. He'll ask you the right questions to get you thinking. He's gonna ask you questions about what happened at the beginning of your journey that's gonna have to make you think back and stuff like that. So if anybody ever has the opportunity to listen to his podcast, it's on Apple. I have it on my iPhone. I have Apple, so I have it on there, and it's called Sark Fighter. Just Google it, and I'm pretty sure it'll pop right up. The organizer for the National Online Support Group, Frank, he's done a podcast. Another young lady, Cheryl Bradford, did one. She's a co-founder for Stronger Than Sarcoidosis. And it was a few other people who've, again, Mary, and it's a few other people who've done podcast interviews for him, and he was just he went away literally shaking his head, and he said he was speechless. And the same thing with me. I'm the journeys that everybody is taking, they are amazing. Everybody's journey is different. But one thing about this journey that I've seen through everybody, it shows me how strong of a person you are. Number one, because I'm sitting here looking at you and you haven't folded under pressure. Sarcoidosis is a dreadful disease. I don't care what anybody says. Sarcoidosis is not for the faint of heart. You really have to have your boxing gloves on to fight this disease and to make sure that this disease doesn't take over not only your body but take over your mind. I tell anybody this sarcoidosis fight for me is 10% physical and 90% mental, but that's just my measurements. Because when it comes to the physical aspect, we can fix those things. We can fix those things with a pill or treatment or, taking away something or eating something or drinking something. But when it comes to your mind, that's the biggest fight with anything and anybody. If you can get this in your mind that you can beat this disease, you absolutely 100% can.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100% can beat this disease.
I think of it like a triathlon. It's a
Mhm.
really long, it's an endurance, but you also need strength and perseverance. And, there's so much that you need to do because if you think about it, there's the physical aspect of having the disease, and then there's
Yep.
the mental aspect of having the disease. And then there's advocacy that you are fighting for your disease and for your own care. So
Yeah.
I think that you need to pace
Yeah.
yourself. If you're newly diagnosed, I think like when I first got diagnosed, I was like all in. I'm gonna figure this all out, and I'm gonna like within a year, I'm gonna like figure it all out and have a solution. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not how it works. But one of the best things about it is this is the nicest community of people, the
Yeah.
sarcoidosis people. I'm just feeling like everybody kind of knows that it's a tough road, but you know what? We have a good support system, and we're in
Absolutely.
infancy, I think.
Right.
Well, and I will say, I, Mary, about it's kind of a triathlon. I kind of had to deal with that probably the last 2 to 3 months with doctors saying, "Hey, you know, we can have you go see this pulmonology specialist," and then insurance, who also happens to be the same group, saying, "Well, you haven't seen a pulmonologist with us, so we're gonna make you see a pulm here, and then you can go see this specialist who specializes in sarcoid." And so it's one of those I tell my family, I'm like, it's a head holding thing. It's like, every time it's something.
Yeah.
And so
And
you got to jump through the hoops.
yeah. So one of the terms that I used with John in my podcast, he asked me how this, how the fight was going for me, and I told him, I said, I look at it as a journey. There's no final destination. It's you're on a journey of seeing how far you can take this thing. The final destination for everybody that's alive right now is death. That's the one thing that we know is going to happen. That's the one thing we know is going to happen. So what happens between your birth date and your death date? That
Yep.
dash. That's your journey right there. So you have to make sure the start of your sarcoidosis life and the date that you expire. What are you going to do in between there to make sure not only that you're physically healthy, that you're mentally healthy, and that you're putting something out in the world that's going to help leave your legacy behind?
Mhm.
I will
What's
say
going to
one
happen
other thing.
between your dash?
Yep. I will say, Shasta, you know, your term kind of is sort of similar to mine is because
Mm-hmm.
for those of you who don't know, I was diagnosed at 4 years old at National Institute of Health, and now I'm 25 and, battling it best I can. But my term is, be your own advocate. You live
Mm-hmm.
with this day in and day out. You know your body better than any person or doctor that you're going to go see. So
Mm-hmm.
if something's not right, say something. And I always tell friends and family, look, I'm not going to tell you right away if it's something minor like, oh, I have, the Sarc bumps on my legs or on my arms. I'm not going to tell you about it right away. If it's there for 2 or 3 days, okay, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to advocate to, hey, this isn't going away naturally. And normally I call my doctors within that sort of same time frame of 2 to 3 days. So, your body better than anybody else. So,
Right. And it's funny that you say that, because I'm actually about to be speaking about that soon, about advocacy. And one of my main points is being your own advocate. Um, Not because you don't trust your doctors, but simply because you know you better than your doctors know you. You know your body, you know what hurts, what doesn't hurt. You know when something looks different, you know when something feels different, something doesn't look right. So you have to make sure that you can explain to your doctors what is happening with you. The doctors know the scientific side. They practice medicine. They've been trained to practice medicine, but they don't know you in human form. They don't know you. They don't know your body. They don't know any of that. So you have to
yep,
tell them. So the best way to do that, is to make sure you know your body whenever you're not feeling. I always tell people, write it down. If you don't remember what happened on this particular day, write it down. Everybody's phone has a section where you can do notes and memos and all that kind of stuff. And everybody has their phone with them all the time, regardless of where you go. Your phone is somewhere close to you. So you have to make sure you write it down so that on September 13th, my left toe on the middle one hurt. So is that sarcoidosis related? So you have to be specific. So, that way your doctors will know, hey, my doctors know me. And the crazy part about it is I have all my doctors' personal cell phone numbers. I would be that one. I would be that one.
yep. Hey, you know what? Raise his hand because I'm
Yes,
I'm in that same boat.
I have my doctor's personal cell phone numbers, and if it's something that I think needs immediate attention, I'm not calling your office. I'm not calling your nurse. I'm calling your cell phone. Your hip about to be dinging and all that kind of stuff. So, develop, but I also had to develop that relationship over time. Now,
Mhm.
yes, there are bad doctors, but there are also bad patients.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
So don't be that patient. Even when advocating for yourself, it's always a respectful way to advocate for yourself. So, I trust that. Advocate for yourself and do it in a respectful manner and develop the relationship with your doctor to where you both be able to trust each other.
yep. And
Yeah.
So,
Shasta, I don't know about. Oh, was somebody about to speak? Did I jump over them? Go ahead.
Hey, this is my first time as well,
Oh,
and
okay. Here.
I have a really crazy situation, and so I really need you guys' help because I am getting nowhere with the medical. I have actually been diagnosed in well, it was February of 2017 after they told me at first that I had cancer, bone cancer. Um, After a couple of months, they finally did bone marrow biopsies and told me it was sarcoidosis. I do not have it anywhere else in my body that we know of. I have had just recently had a whole slug of MRIs on my neck, my back, my lower back, and my head. Now, for 4 years, I've got trying to do both of this. Um, I have been in chronic pain, and I have got all the sarcoid symptoms that I've had for actually over 4 years before we figured out what was going on. Um, you name it, I've had all the weird stuff. I fall, I get dizzy, I do all kinds of stuff. But now the doctors are trying to tell me we can't see the granulomas, so it just magically went away. Have you guys dealt with any of that?
how did they
So,
diagnose your sarcoidosis?
They actually did 2 bone marrow biopsies. And when I first got my first MRI, in my lower back between my whole hip and on up to about the mid of my lower back lit up like a Christmas tree. Yeah. And now they tell me, oh, it all went away. I have
Now,
seen literally every doctor around and nobody can help me.
Where are you
Shelly,
located?
where are you located?
I'm in Utah. I've got my phone
Oh,
here because my
God.
computer
Who's in
keeps going out.
Utah?
So
Is that Jen Cash?
And she's not any help right now.
Hmm.
oh, I went up to the University of Utah. I've been to all the doctors that are supposed to be specialists, pulmonologists, rheumatologist, cardiologist, you name it. If it's got ologist on it, they've been trying to figure it out, and they just keep passing me around.
So, I think one of the things I would probably recommend, and Shasta, Mary, and everybody else can probably vouch for this, is get yourself a complex case manager. And because that forces doctors to say, look, we're going to talk to this one person, and complex case managers are there as your advocate when you're not getting anywhere. That,
Where do I find one?
for me, I have Kaiser Permanente, so I just called Kaiser and said, look, I need a complex case manager for
I was
this,
about to say
and
them.
Well, my
just tell
problem is
them everything going.
I've went through the insurance, and they keep telling me, oh, you can go to this specialist, you can go to that specialist. And then when I get there,
The insurance is going to tell you what they're going to pay for. They're going to tell you the things that's going to save them money. So sometimes going through your insurance to get a case manager is not always great. And that's simply because they're going to try to take the cheapest way out.
actually, our insurance has been pretty good. I will admit that they have been a lot better than I thought. But they tell me that they don't know who to refer me to. And my general practitioner said, you find a doctor, I'll refer you.
So do this for me. What Spencer said. Also, go to Kaiser, contact Kaiser.
Or whoever your insurance is.
Yeah, and get a
Blue
complex
Cross.
case manager. Blue Cross, they call Kaiser.
Yeah, if
Call
it's
Kaiser.
Kaiser call. So the way I ended up doing it, because I have Kaiser, is I called member services, explained to them, look, I've had sarcoid for years. I've seen doctors XYZ, PDQ, X, all the letters in the alphabet, and said, look, I need a complex case manager. They will. I got lucky and got somebody who they're a case manager who specializes in sarcoid. And they're probably the best person I've ever had with contact of sarcoid because they put me in touch with this magical group, and they helped me find doctors who are specialists. One of the things was they're like, well, if you're willing to really travel, in Colorado they have the Jewish Institute of Health, which has a sarcoid program out there.
Mm-hmm.
They have, and it's specialized for sarcoid, and then doing more digging, I found one who is much closer, who happens to be what I find the only sarcoid doctor out on the true West Coast. And it's been a journey just to try to see him, and I still haven't seen him yet. So, this is where I say advocate for yourself and say, look, I need a complex case manager to handle this. And that forces all your doctors to then say, oh, you have a complex case manager. We need to funnel this to her or him. And then they will funnel the true information back to you instead of you having to go read the notes. They'll explain it to you in plain English instead of all the doctor speak. So
Right.
that's my biggest thing.
Yeah. So Kaiser is awesome. Like you said, the insurance company. There is a portal on the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research's website. Get on that website. They have doctors that are amazing. If you find one that's close enough to you, get your primary care doctor, of course, to do the referral, because the referral will happen quicker than you just calling a doctor to try to set up an appointment. Um, and that, to right now, to me, that's the only thing that I can tell you to do as far as getting a specialist and stuff like that. So, go ahead,
Can I
Mary.
quickly, is your name is listed here as Deli? Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay, so Deli and Deanna, have you guys registered or connected with the FSR, the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to be attending the summit, which is on Tuesday, or there's another one in November?
If I can do it online, yes.
Yeah, it's totally online because everything is online right now.
And if you don't have the money to pay for the full price, they do have scholarships available. I think it's a $40 assessment to do the virtual on Tuesday, and then November the 14th is the other date. Um,
But
so if you
check
don't have the full 40, I think you know what?
connecting with that and making sure that you are, registered in that sense, because there is a what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for that has all the information? Help me out. Registry. You want to make sure that your information is in there so that way you could be contacted. And there's great resources on there about where to find doctors and where to find specialists, and also to find out who the representatives or ambassadors in who are closest to you. I know that if you're in Utah, then it's, I don't know. Are you near Salt Lake?
I am, and I have went to Salt Lake. Our ambassador has been trying to help me with this, but unfortunately here in Utah, nobody seems to be able to help me with the bone sarcoidosis. I have been told I'm the 18th person ever to only have it in their bones. I don't have it in my lungs. I don't have it anywhere else. It was just in my bones.
Okay. Well, the
So
best thing is you got to keep.
I'm kind of at a loss because the doctors, like the pulmonologist that I waited over 6 months to get into, literally told me, come back when you can't breathe.
Yeah, that's
What?
not right. That's not right. That's where a complex case manager would
And if
would
that
absolutely eat them out.
now, and if that doctor is listed under FSR's specialists, you should contact FSR and tell them that that was your experience, because they're trying to build up a solid foundation of contacts and referrals and doctors who know the disease, instead of just saying come back when you can't breathe, because that's not a really good solution to the situation. You may have to travel because you are in Utah, but you might not have to travel as far as you think. So you have to, I'm like, get a binder, get a notebook, just start gathering information.
Oh, I've got a stack of stuff right here from the last 4 years.
I do know
So-
that sarcoidosis
Yeah.
also, there's a significant amount of the population that have sarcoidosis that is temporary. And that idea that, you have an episode and then it does go away. But some people, it is chronic. And for me, for example, I had an episode that happened, and I really do think I had it beforehand, but in like 2007, I had a weird episode with my heart that was bizarre, and then I didn't do anything with it. And then, 7 years later was when it's finally got diagnosed. And when I talked to some people who are familiar with cardiac sarcoidosis, they said, that's totally typical. You have an episode, nothing happens for years, and then it really kicks off. So, with that information, you want to make sure that you're staying on top of it, because had it been diagnosed earlier, it wouldn't have been as bad as a situation as it is.
Yeah, and also it helps to with the paperwork that you have, whenever they give you those notes at the end of the appointment, always keep those notes at the end of the appointments, because those are the summaries of what he saw, what you talked about, and all that kind of stuff like that. So always keep those notes. We have my chart here. I don't know what other portal you all use.
Yeah, what is
We
Pfizer
have
got? Pfizer do that?
if it's Bone Secure or maybe Prisma Health or anything like that, they use my chart. So all of my appointments go to my chart. All my notes and stuff from the visit, all of that stuff goes strictly into. I got tired of printing out all them papers, so it's
But
easier if I just share my code with my other doctors. They can pull it up and they can read exactly what the doctor said, what all those numbers and stuff mean, and all that kind of stuff. And I actually have. I'm gonna show you really, really quick. We have the app. I have the app downloaded where you just put in a simple password and stuff, and all my notes will come up from that doctor's visit and stuff like that. So um, always keep
I
your
do
notes.
have my chart.
Okay, awesome.
It's only
so
one of my doctors uses it.
so
Oh wow.
I
What's it?
guess I'm
I wanted to ask you, when you said you had a major heart episode, I had a major heart episode 2 years ago, ended up in the emergency room. They sent me home 6 hours later and couldn't figure out what was going on. May I ask you what your heart did?
I collapsed unexpectedly. I was visiting my sister, and I was like, I've always been super healthy, so it was like, I don't know what happened. Like the EMT's taking me to the emergency room. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to inconvenience you, but I don't have a heart issue. And then I ended up in that hospital for a week doing lots of tests. And they basically said, yeah, your heart has some problems with your AV node. I ended up 3 hospitals, 2 countries later. And they finally said that, yes, you have, what had happened is the granulomas from sarcoidosis had severed my AV node, which is the communication between the top and the bottom part of the heart. So I had no function, so I needed a pacemaker. So, and it came completely out of the blue and nothing beforehand. And so that was what, I got my pacemaker, and then it wasn't until 7 years later that I got diagnosed, because I was fine. I got the pacemaker. I'm like, okay, I'm good to go. I just have this machine. Um, so for me, the weird episode, I was happy enough to have a solution. But at the same time, you always know in the back of your head, like, well, what caused this? What, you know, they they tested me for everything, for, West Nile virus, African sleeping sickness, everything. They tested me for every type of virus, and they said, well, we don't know, but basically you got some virus, it damaged your heart, here's a pacemaker, off you go. So you need to keep pursuing it, and you need to find a doctor who will be on the same page as you and continue to look. It'll still take a while, or it may take a while, I won't say for sure, but you need to find someone who is supportive and listens to you.
Yeah, they sent me home and never did figure out what was wrong with it, and they put me on a little bit of heart medication, did a cardiac MRI. You're fine. I still have the problem.
And just so you know, I had heart doctors tell me there's nothing wrong with you. You're perfectly
Okay.
fine. And I left those meetings, and then I would go to my car, and then I would cry because I knew something was wrong. But if you know in your heart, without making that joke, that something's up, you need to keep pursuing it. But it was not a piece of cake. You need to keep pursuing. If you feel something's wrong, you need to keep advocating for yourself, which a lot of us say all the time.
And that goes back to saying write it down every time something doesn't feel right. Write it down so when you talk to the doctor and you can tell them, hey, on September 13th, this is what happened. On September 17th, this is what happened. On September the 20th, this is what happened. This has happened 4 or 5 different times. So now it's time for you to do something about it. So the longer you stay on them, you get the nurse's phone number, her desk, you get the email address, whatever you have to get so that you can get a correspondent across to them, get it. And I think that's how I ended up getting my doctor's cell phone number.
One of the
Love
what
data.
Right.
yes, one of the things that I've done, and Shasta, this sort of goes back to you, is I call it my pain journal. Is every time something happens like clockwork, I have it written down. And I actually go a step farther. I say, okay, it happened on this date, this time, it felt like this. And then, depending if it's an ongoing thing, I say, okay, it lasts for this long. And after that, I sort of just close the notebook. And so every time I see a doctor, I'm like, okay, this is what happened. Here's my whole journal. And I literally just hand it to him. My rheumatology doctor is shocked because he's like, man, if other patients could keep a journal like this, my job would be easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They
So
keep
that goes
telling me
again, it goes
I
back to
should
being
be
your
in
own
pain.
advocate. Yeah.
Totally
I,
unrelated to
for
it.
4 years, have never been out of pain.
And I would, and tell your doctor that. Honest, and,
Oh, I have.
tell him the exact pain. If it's a doctor that isn't listening to you, I know at least in
You want
Kaiser
to
you can say,
them.
look, this doctor isn't listening. Can I swap doctors? And they normally are really good about it.
I
So
Here, unfortunately, they just think you're after pain pills. I'm like, nobody's given me a pain pill one in 4 years. I don't want a pain pill. I want something to help.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But unfortunately, Utah went through a big thing where everybody was writing out pain pill prescriptions, and so they think everybody's looking for pain pills.
That must be the
I,
world because South Carolina did it, Georgia did it, Florida did it, everybody's done it. Where it's
Washington
so
did.
hard, it is so hard to get pain medicine now, to where I've just given up. Literally, I've given up. As much as I need it and all that kind of stuff like that, I've literally given up. It's so much red tape to go through, especially through the insurance company and all that kind of stuff like that. I'm just like, you know what? I've been living in pain for 15 years. What's another 5?
Yeah.
So
That's,
So I did bring up earlier, if you can look into it, the Jewish Institute of Health, they have a sarcoid program, and they have doctors you can email and say, look, this is what's going on. They may say, hey, I can't talk to you because you're not my patient, but at least this way you have a resource to get to. And I know you're in Utah, so Colorado may not be as big of a drive. May not.
I
And
well, it wouldn't be too bad, but I literally cannot be in a car for over an hour.
okay.
It's
So
it's
this is
disabilitated me enough where I cannot work. I can't
yeah.
do anything. It's it's ridiculous, and I can't get
well,
anybody to listen. So I don't. That's
well,
why I wanted
I'm
to ask you guys if you had the problem and any ideas.
well. We've just given you a whole lot of information.
Yeah.
Um, so we've given you the advocacy side of things. Now, let me give you the hope side of things. You're in the right place. We may not can identify with your specific needs, with everything, but you do have a family here. One of the things that Frank is so big on, and we hashtag it a lot, that you are not alone. You're not alone in this. It's a lot of us here who can identify with the sarcoidosis struggle. The significance of each one's struggle is that it's different. So even if we can't identify specifically with what you're going through, we can identify that the sarcoidosis journey again is not for the faint of heart. So you're in the right place. Whenever you're feeling down and you don't have all the answers, you never know when I'm gonna have a dance party on one of these calls. You never know when I'm gonna come. You never know when I'm gonna come with you got to tell me your favorite hobbies. Like you have to do all. I'm the crazy one in the crew. So you're in the right place. So it's your first time here. So let's switch the gear just for a second. And Deanna, you can go ahead and unmute your mic also. So Shelly and Deanna, I have a question for both of you. I'm gonna ask Shelly first. Shelly, what's your favorite color?
Probably red.
Red. Deanna, what's your favorite food?
Broccoli.
Broccoli.
Hey, it's good.
Right. Shelly, do you have any pets?
Pardon?
Do you have any pets?
Oh, pets?
Yeah.
I've got, oh, he went in the other room. I've got a 160-pound service dog.
Okay. All right. Deanna, what's your favorite hobby?
Walking.
Walking. You can walk with sarcoidosis? Okay, never mind.
Good.
Right. All right. So here's the question to both of you. What is one thing, Shelly, you answer first. What is one thing that makes you smile?
If I can accomplish something when I get up, if I can actually accomplish a task during the day that I actually planned on doing, or to finish something, which a lot of times I don't get to do. I mean, I love to craft. I used to bake. I was pretty much a professional baker, and I worked full time.
Okay.
I love that. I miss it, but I can't do it anymore.
Gotcha. Deanna, what makes you smile?
Hang on.
Oh, she gone.
Look at this thing.
Oh,
Say hi.
Hey, buddy.
Hey,
I love a
bud.
Boston terrorist.
okay.
Boston Terrier. Yep.
Okay.
This is where everybody smile.
Miss Maisie. Say hi. You don't know what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
I
So
have
that's
a
that's
Boston. I
basically
miss him so much.
what this group is just really about. We come here, and some people call it a vent session. If you want to vent, feel free. This is a place you come to. But also know that when you leave here, you're gonna leave here inspired because of everybody here working together and being one big family. So don't think that you're gonna come here and be sad the whole entire time. We don't do pity parties over here. We don't do those.
So,
That's
so Chasta, I know you're big on people reaching out to you. If you need to, I've lived with it for 25 years. I've had it since I was 6 months old. So I can sort of relate. I may not be able to relate to everything, but
Hmm.
I can give you a place to say, hey, this is what's going on. If you reach out to me, I will be more than happy to listen or give you advice on how I dealt with it for the last 25 years. So if you
Gotcha.
need to reach out,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm probably the pup of the group, but I've lived with it my whole life, so I've known nothing else. So I thought it was normal.
Gotcha. So, Kevin, you've been extremely quiet. Time to talk.
I have. I've been hopping on and off because I'm having some crazy technology issues. I've probably kicked out of the meeting 4 or 5 times. So I had a good day today. I was down seeing my
Awesome.
cardiologist, and I had my first normal EKG and probably not. I'm also cleared to start tapering my steroids. Out of sync with the meeting. So yeah, we're going to start with 1 milligram a week until we get down. So I'm at four. I've been at 40 for I guess 5 months now. So we're trying to bring that down. I started CellCept, rough start, but figured out how to take it and hoping that gives me the relief I need on the immune side to keep tapering the steroids. So all good. I got away with a little misbehavior with all my doctors that I was happy with. So my brother's a doctor, and
Yep.
he's very in tune with COVID. And for my birthday, he gave me a jar of Plaquenil, hydroxychloroquine, which is a prophylactic for COVID. But it's also used in sarcoidosis as a second or third line drug. So my biggest issue since the beginning of the year when this thing went sideways has been fatigue. So like some days I would literally be able to get in 500 steps. And I used to ride my bike from 25, 30 miles in a day down into the city and have a great time. And I couldn't make a mile. It was awful. So I've been working through that, working through the sleep, working through the medications and the side effects. And lo and behold, I noticed after like 3 doses of Plaquenil, my fatigue the day of and the day following was slightly less. So I just started taking it every day. Doctors be damned. Because I was waiting on a replacement for methotrexate, which didn't work for my liver. So I just started taking it and didn't tell anyone. And so when I saw my rheumatologist, I'm like, here's what's going on. He's like, yeah, you should keep it. So I actually got 4 drugs going after it right now. I've got Plaquenil, prednisone, the Celcept, and then I've been taking melatonin. So melatonin has been shown in some studies out of Europe, 20 milligrams a day. Obviously, it puts you to sleep, but actually helped to put pulmonary sarcoidosis into remission. So I've been taking that as well. So I got all 4 of those going. They all work in a different way, and it's a shotgun approach right now.
So let me ask you a question. The melatonin, is it just straight melatonin, or is it like diphenhydramine? I was gonna say, or is it like diphenhydramine with the allergy effect?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm taking straight melatonin. I could go back and look at the article and let you know.
Okay. Yeah, because I know I'm taking diphenhydramine, which is an allergy pill that reacts just like melatonin.
Okay.
In fact, it has all the same ingredients. So.
It's probably very close then.
Yeah, well, it has the added bonus of an allergy pill. So.
For what?
For taking care of allergies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the added bonus.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the Post-it notes behind you.
That is my, if anyone's familiar with project management, this is my Obeya room now. So I made it like my war room. And every Post-it note is an action item. And I move them from backlog, which are things I've identified I haven't started, to in process, I'm doing something about these, waiting on someone else, and complete. And that was all a way of me trying to work through my brain fog and traumatic brain injury and non-working memory and keep things straight in my head. Am I on the phone still?
With it.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm familiar with it. My dad he works for, he's in IT, so that's how he works. It's kind of, I saw it, I'm like, I know what that is.
And I have a big one up here, and I've got more on the side. I'll just show you my room. So this is all my research I've been doing. That's personal transformation stuff, and I can't show you what's behind me, but it's basically action item lists, risks, opportunities, my organization chart, all my doctors and consultants and stuff like that, all my acceptable foods and my diet plan, some images of my heart. So it's basically all here. When I sit down, this is where it happens. So
it's the war room.
Sounds good.
I reached back into my 30 years in project management. I know how to do this. I just can't remember everything at one time.
Yeah.
And Ted's been phenomenally helpful. The TED Talks. So I looked at a couple of TED Talks, and so when I started taking prednisone, it was like the first week was like honeymoon. It was amazing. Nothing hurt. I'm like, woohoo! Had all this energy except for like some sleep disruption. But it didn't matter because I was like just go and go and go. And then all of a sudden
Well,
my brain melted.
yeah. Well, I know my doctors have tried to. They've gotten me off prednisone, so
I'm
it's
glad to get off of
very
it.
interesting. Yeah. Well, because I was on it from about 4 years old to about 18, and they're like, yeah, that's not good for you in the long run. So
Yeah.
Mm.
it was very interesting.
So I
So
started
they,
showing signs of manic depression, ADD, paranoia. It just kept going on, and I'm just swinging back and forth between psychosis. I'm like, this is crazy.
yeah,
And so I was looking at, and so having things written down in front of them helps them to
yep,
keep it top of mind. I'm like, that's exactly what I need, because I'd be like stressing at night that I'm forgetting things, and I wouldn't be able to get to sleep. And then 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd be up writing things down because I just remembered it. I'm like, this is
yep,
Yeah, and that's one of the things with that, and that's a good segue with the prednisone. September is Suicide Awareness Month, Prevention Month.
yeah.
And I've I've known people with the prednisone who they said it just made them so crazy that they just started hearing voices in their head and somebody's telling them to kill themselves and all this other kind of craziness and stuff like that. So that prednisone is, while it does what it's supposed to do,
Yep.
as far as the sarcoid is concerned, it does some other jacked up stuff. So
yep.
yeah, you got to make sure you monitor that, and again, write everything down.
I,
Like
I listened
it's
to
not
that
anything to play
conversation,
with.
and I really had nothing different to add other than I have one as well. And I started, it was called the WTF list.
Yep.
Like, what the?
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I told you I wasn't gonna hold you long. Not at all. Not at all. Deanna, are you coming back to see us? Deanna?
Of like crazy things that have happened. I just noted.
Shelly, are you gonna come back for another call?
I think Shelly's on mute, and I think Deanna's also on mute. I could be
Let me
wrong.
let me see if I can unmute them. Um,
Can you hear me now?
there
I
you go.
can.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I got my phone and my computer because they one keep going off and then the other one will pop on and back and forth. So
Gotcha.
I got to figure out what's going on with the computer thing. But when you were talking about the prednisone, they wanted to put me, well, they did put me on Cymbalta. Are any of you guys on that? Because it does crazy stuff.
So I've never been on Cymbalta, but I've been off and on prednisone since I was a little kid. But I did the Enbrel, methotrexate, Humira, all that stuff. I've never been on Cymbalta though.
I'm allergic
So
to prednisone.
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, they've tried
Have
it
they
a couple
mentioned
times. It's not been a good thing.
have they mentioned methotrexate to you?
They said what the severe reaction I've had to the prednisone, didn't want to do the methotrexate.
Okay. Remicade or
That was like,
remdesivir as it's called.
yeah.
That's
Remicade?
yep, Remicade.
Or they may call it
I
infliximab.
infliximab. There you go. That's the infliximab's the generic name, but Remicade's the more well known. I
Right.
actually was off and on it. I was on it from about 2015 to 2017, and then my rheumatologist ended up leaving, going to a different clinic, and so I had a new rheumatology doctor, and he took me off the Remicade. And yesterday or last Friday, I actually had the first dose of Remicade. And while it's awkward because you're sitting in a room with, cancer patients and you feel sort of out of place, at least I did, Um, it does help. I will say for 3 days I was absolutely just out of it. I didn't want to move. I just wanted to sleep for 3 days. So that is the downside, is you could, be just absolutely tired and
Yeah.
totally out of it for 3 days, but it definitely helped. And,
Yeah.
after that, I felt really upbeat and really ready to go. I felt like I could take on the world at that point.
Two things. Kathleen just said, yeah, you're gonna have to do some heart testing before they put you on the Remicade. Is that pending any heart issues? So you might want to bring that up in your next conversation. And I'm also on Remicade. I've been on Remicade now since 2008, and Remicade is actually what put me into remission in all my organs. So Remicade is the only thing that I do now. I'm not taking any other medicine for my sarcoidosis. Remicade is the only treatment that I do because it's keeping everything quiet. I've been hospitalized, oh God, countless numbers of times. Um, at one point, I was telling my mom one year we never we it was one year that went by that we were not either in the hospital or in the doctor at least once or twice a month. And so once we got the Remicade started, those hospital visits started getting fewer and fewer and fewer. Those doctor's visits became more further apart than the last, and Remicade has done wonders for me. But I do know some people don't have so much of a success story when it comes with the Remicade, because again, everybody's body is not, um, they
It's
won't
not built
do
for it.
right if your body, so um, yeah. So make sure that your heart is up to par when you do the Remicade, because it can further along the damage done if you're not careful. So Deanna, did you get your audio back?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I left
Awesome.
and came back and it works.
Awesome. So are you going to come back for another support group call?
Uh-huh. Yes, I am.
Awesome. Awesome. So, um, I said 8 o'clock. Anybody, Mary, you got anything else to say?
I just want to say thank you guys.
You're welcome. We're
This
we're
is
always here. Like I said, reach out. I know Shasta will help you. Mary will help you. I'm always here. I've lived
Yeah.
with it my whole life, so reach out. We're always
Yeah.
here.
Kathleen is also here. She's just in the background right now, um, and everything like that. Frank, of course. Frank is not here, you guys, because he is celebrating his wedding anniversary tonight. So
Woo!
when you get an opportunity, go back on Facebook and make sure you wish Frank a very, very, very Frank and Diana a very happy anniversary. Trina just got in, but Trina, we're about to leave, girl.
Sorry about that. Hi, guys.
Yeah. So Trina, you got anything you want to say real quick? Um, because we're done.
Not at all. Just came in to
You
listen.
sure? We
I'm
can't see
I
your
fine.
want
beautiful face.
Oh
I want to
no,
ask for clarification.
I would just scare you all.
Someone's asking for clarification on
Yeah, I want to know, is it Shasta or Chasta?
It's a
What's the best?
CH, Chasta.
Shasta.
Chasta.
Yep,
Okay.
like choo choo train, CH.
I think I say it all different ways. Like every time I say it different. So
Yeah,
Shasta. I like the
yep,
choo
it's
choo.
Chasta. Oh,
You
you can
could
imagine the names that I got called in high school, and that's when Shasta McNasty was really, really popular and all that kind of stuff like that. And then you have the Shasta soda. So I got called a whole bunch of stuff other than what my mama put on my birth certificate. So
I
Yeah.
do have a
um,
question.
yeah, so it's with a CH. So yeah,
So I guess we now a household name from last night.
yeah, we do. Did everybody watch the young lady ask the question on 2020?
No, I have not.
Oh, that
Okay,
was
so
dope. She
basically she
even told him
asked
to
a
be.
question to President Trump about pre-existing conditions, and what he was going to do concerning the pre-existing conditions. I still don't have a clear understanding of what he's going to do. The only thing I'm going to do is continue to do what I do, and that's advocate for me and myself and advocate for you all. Because, yeah, it's going to be hard if the pre-existing conditions is taken away and we're trying to, so I'm just going to leave it at that, simply because we're not going to get.
chime in a little bit because it was like a great opportunity for somebody with sarcoidosis.
Yes.
Bring
Yes,
the
it was.
name of the disease to the national or international forefront. So, I mean, this woman who has sarcoidosis asked Trump a question, and it brought a little bit of focus on the disease. And what
Yep.
my hope is that it brings awareness and people like, what's sarcoidosis? Or,
Yes.
oh, I've heard of that before, and kind of just puts it into people's vocabulary of like
Yes.
what they
I
talk
got
about.
tagged so many times last night.
Mhm.
When it was going on, my notifications went bananas.
Mhm.
1 minute I log off Facebook and I may have 1 or 2 notifications. When I finally looked at it, I had like 50 something notifications because people were tagging me because, well, this lady said something about, just because they know me. And this lady spoke about sarcoidosis on a national platform. And a lot of
Right.
people are thinking that this is the first time that sarcoidosis has been put on a platform like this. It's not. This is not the
No.
first time that sarcoidosis has been mentioned on a national platform like this. A lot of people just haven't paid attention. So,
Yes.
hopefully now this is one time where people are actually paying attention, but this isn't
Yes.
the first time that sarcoidosis, honey, it's a lot of us, Mary, Trina, Kathleen, who have been working tirelessly. When I say tirelessly, we have been working our behinds off trying to get this name, just the name out there. Forget
Mhm.
about the color. Forget about what the symbols are. Forget about what the disease actually is. We just want to
Amen.
get the name out there so that
Right.
somebody will know, hey, we're here. We're not going anywhere. You're going to get tired of us. Block me, unfollow me, mute me, do whatever you got to do. But we ain't going nowhere.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
We're not
That's
going anywhere.
It's a
that
nice
part
slow
dot
burn.
com.
Exactly.
Let's just get everybody knowing the word, and awareness brings the opportunity for funds, which leads to research, which leads to potentially cures and treatments. So I'm all for let's just spread
Yep,
the
keep
word.
keep yapping away on it, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. And also, Shelly, Indiana, if you check FSR's website, you'll actually see where there may be some studies and stuff, clinical trials and stuff going on. If you want to be a part of any of that, and stuff like that, some of those opportunities do pay. It may not be a steak dinner. You might get some bologna and bread, but that's about it. But
I
they do have opportunities. Also, Kathleen said you can go to clinicaltrials.org, and you can see what trials are being held on that website. If you look at the sarcoidosis centers, I know MUSC has one, and they have 2 studies going on right now, but that's in South Carolina. So if you know there's a sarcoidosis clinic somewhere, a sarcoidosis specialist somewhere, they will have those also listed on their websites. Whatever information is needed. Also, get connected with FSR. They have a lot of information. They are a national foundation, um, and they're trying to take it international. So they have national foundation where they have a lot. Join the patient registry, get connected to somebody, get you an advocate, get you an ambassador, all that good stuff. Um, Join a clinical trial. I'm actually doing one right now with MUSC, the Medical University of South Carolina. I let my doctor talk me into being the guinea pig.
Hey,
And
hey,
so,
that's normal for all of us. You know
you're
that.
right. I let my doctor talk me into being a guinea pig. So check those things out. If anything interests you, do your research on it. Ask the necessary questions. See how and if it fits you and how you're living your life and all that kind of stuff. It may pay, it may not. All these trials don't. So don't just go for the ones that pay, because sometimes those are the ones who are the most bogus. They just want to use your body and throw you away. But sometimes these ones that don't pay are the ones that's actually going to give you the results that you really want. So just check those things out. Y'all are new here. This is what this platform is for. If you want to come in here and vent, vent. If you want to cry, cry. But when you leave here smiling, leave here with hope, leave here with inspiration to go out and fight for another day. Especially if I got something to do with
Yep.
it.
And sarcoid ain't easy, and all of us could attest to that. So just
Absolutely.
keep trucking away, keep battling one day at a time.
Yeah. So here's your assignment, and then I'm actually gonna let you go. I want everybody. We'll see each other. Let's see. Let me get the date. Let me get the date. Let me get the date. October the 6th. Is that the
October
next one?
6th.
6,
Is the
yeah.
next one? Okay. So October the 6th is the next one. And if the
Okay.
date changes October the 6th, yes. So October the 6th. I want everybody to bring me their favorite inspirational song.
Okay.
We can make that
Can do.
happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Inspirational song. The song that when you're feeling blah, the song that you play that helps lift your spirits. It can be any genre of music. I don't care what it is. It can be rap, hip hop, R&B, pop, jazz. It can be
Bluegrass.
blue,
Yep.
techno,
Any of
anything.
all the above.
All of the above. Any genre of music. Oh, look at the baby. Well, it's
This
not
is
a baby.
my big guy.
God, oh, look at there.
I was gonna say, Shasta, that's a big old baby.
That's a big old baby.
He's 160 pounds.
Yeah, that's a big old baby.
He's
That's a
bigger than
big
me.
old baby.
Yep.
He's
So
my
everybody
helper.
bring me your favorite song, your favorite inspirational song. No, I'm not gonna have everybody sing it.
Oh, thank goodness.
You don't want to hear me sing.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with that. You don't want me to sing.
Yeah, so your favorite inspirational song, and we're gonna talk about it. We definitely are. So I hope you know the lyrics.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Trina joined us late, but she is also an ambassador for FSR. She's an advocate. She advocates down in Georgia. Her and Eddie. Those are my Georgia peaches. So, Kathleen, you can stop recording. And I hope everyone has an amazing night. If you need me, look me up. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat.
Yep. Hit us up. You know, we're always here. If you need somebody, Shasta's got somebody, Mary's got somebody, Kathleen, Frank, me. Just reach out. We
Please.
all got your back.
We got you.